Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the 2025 Halal in Travel Global Summit hosted by Crescent Rating. My name is Gary Bowerman. I'm a Kuala Lumpur-based travel markets analyst and strategy advisor and founding partner of a company called High Yield Tourism. I'm also co-host of the Southeast Asia Travel Show weekly podcast. Our panel today is titled Unlocking High-Yield Tourism Opportunities, the Muslim Traveler as a Premium Market Segment, a fascinating topic. Over the next 60 minutes, we'll explore how the Muslim travel market is embracing high-yield tourism, characterized by travelers who spend time and money to research, book, and enjoy immersive, faith-aligned, and curiosity-driven experiences. So how can the global travel industry reframe perceptions, design tailored experiences and services upgrades, and develop marketing engagements that resonate with premium Muslim travelers? Joining me in this quest today is a stellar panel lineup. I'm delighted to be joined, first of all, by Marta Fernandez, Director of Tour España, the Spain Tourism Board. Hi, Marta. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
And where are you today, Marta?
I'm living in Singapore. I'm based here, and we are in charge of 9 markets, most of them in Southeast Asia.
Okay. So that's Marta. Thanks very much for joining us. We also have with us Sadiq Dindar, who's the Global Sales and Marketing Director at the Tingana Collection. I can see a flag in the background. I kind of think I know where you are. Where are you today, Sadiq?
Good day, Gary. Thank you very much. And it's an absolute honor to be on this panel. And I am in beautiful, sunny South Africa. It's an absolute lovely day here in South Africa and a great honor to be on this panel and looking forward to this discussion with my esteemed panelists as well.
Look forward to it. So the Tingana Collection is a collection of luxury lodges and wildlife experiences. Is that correct? In South Africa?
Correct. We have 3 5-star premium properties based out in the Kruger National Park in the Mpumalanga province of South Africa, where we offer high-end experiences for our guests who come out to South Africa for safari experiences, but we also have a global travel division, which we then add on for tours and safaris and all other experiences within South Africa. So the Tingana Global Travel takes care of that. In the Tingana Collection, we have the 3 lodges, the high-end premium lodges based in South Africa.
Okay, it's great to have you with us. And also we have with us Abdullah Basalamah, who is the Area General Manager and Vice President for Rooms for Far East Asia Hospitality, which is one of Asia's most storied, I would say, hotel and service residence companies. How are you doing today, Abdullah? Where are you? And tell us a little bit more about your company.
Hi, good afternoon, Gary. I'm here based in Singapore. So Far East Hospitality, we are a regional hotel player, largely based and concentrated here in Singapore. We have a regional presence here in Japan and in Malaysia as well.
Great.
We got one hotel in Kuala Lumpur as well, where you are.
Okay. And I know some of your brands, but not all of them. You have a lot. You have a big portfolio of brands, right?
Yes, we do. It ranges from the Rendezvous, the Oasia brand, to the Barracks, and lastly as well to the ones that I manage with the Village Hotels.
Right. Okay. So I know some of those. So Marta, Sadiq, and Abdullah are going to join me in trying to discuss and break down the premium Muslim travel segment. I just want to start with a quick question for all of you. When you're invited to join this panel and talk about high yield tourism and the Muslim traveler, what were your first thoughts? Marta?
For us, it's a priority segment. So we are focusing a lot of our efforts in promoting Spain as a tourism destination for Muslim travelers. So I think it's a very important part of our business here in Southeast Asia, and also for other colleagues that work for Middle East and also in Europe, because there is a huge community of Muslims living in Europe and second, third generation of Muslims. And Spain, because of their heritage, is a very attractive destination for them.
Great starting point, Marta. Sadiq, what were your first thoughts?
It's interesting because my background prior to joining Tingana Global Travel was being with South African Tourism, the National Tourism Board, and I was responsible for the markets of the Middle East, Southeast Asia, the Nordics markets. And over the years, in particular into South Africa, we've seen an increase in the demand from the Muslim traveler from all different types of segment of the Muslim traveler. And what for me was very exciting and interesting is that the current products that I represent, we cater for the high-end Muslim traveler, with our lodges being fully halal, and we cater for all different types of segment of travelers, including the Muslim traveler. And it's good to see and also understand how Muslim travelers are beginning to integrate within the wider, broader community when they do their tourism experiences and when they look to choose destinations. So for me, it was quite an exciting topic, and also a great opportunity to share some of my insights and knowledge with being with South African tourism previously and currently, how we're seeing the evolving of the Muslim traveler when they do travel and choose destinations to travel.
Yeah, great point, Sadiq. I love it when we start talking about segmentation, such an important part of the whole global travel industry, but particularly when we talk about the Muslim travel sector. Abdullah, when you were first invited to join the panel, what were your initial thoughts?
To me, it was an opportunity for the wider community as well to understand the opportunity for the Muslim travelers as well, to move from just compliance to connection, and to move it from potentially from a niche market to a wider mainstream premium platform. I think the larger community, I think, still a lot to learn about what Muslim travel's needs are. I think it's something, I think, the opportunity where we feel, I think, for the wider audience to understand and learn what Muslim travel needs are as well, and the premium that comes along with it.
Absolutely agree. So the interesting part of this discussion that we're going to have is that we're bringing together Spain, we're bringing together Europe, we're bringing South Africa and Africa, we're bringing together Asia, three very, very dynamic and very, very different travel markets. And so there's so much that we can discuss over the next 45, 50 minutes or so. The first question, I'm going to start with you, Sadiq, because you kind of referred to this in your answer. But the first question really is about, how do we define the high-yield Muslim travel? You talked a little bit about segmentation. You also talked about catering to that premium segment that we've started to see not just evolve, but to change quite considerably since the pandemic. So how would you define the high-yield Muslim traveler in 2025?
Thank you so much, Gary. So I think in terms of the high-yield Muslim traveler, I think often what happens is when most call it tourism boards or products look to attract the Muslim traveler, they often think that it's difficult to be able to cater to the needs of the Muslim traveler. Muslim travelers are very dynamic in their own, and they do their own research prior to choosing a destination or even choosing a product. And in particular with us, I think we're seeing it, we have high-end 5-star product. When the Muslim traveler chooses to come to us, I think there's a few things that they look for, which is quite critical. One is, obviously, from a faith-based point of view, are their needs being taken care of? Is there any, in terms of the product offering, it's critical that we understand what the needs of the traveler is. And I think once you understand and unpack that, sometimes decisions are not just based on the fact that you can give me halal food. It's about the entire experience that the traveler will be able to experience when they're out making the trip. So for us, I use the example particularly for us, is that we offer safari game drives. We offer experiences of going in and immersing yourself in the destination. Often, obviously, the discussions are around the food and whatever other elements, but the Muslim traveler is prepared to pay the premium price when you give them the value add and you make them understand that you are taking care of their needs. I think, back in the day, and I look at myself as well, when I used to travel, often when you're asking for certain requirements based on your faith, it's always like, somewhere, if you're sitting in a restaurant, you've got to be sitting in a far corner because someone's going to be bringing catering for you from the outside. It can't be taken care of on the inside. Today, Muslim travelers want to immerse themselves within the broader community. And I think Abdullah made that point earlier. The new segment of travelers that are traveling, they don't want to be seen, they don't want to look like they're imposing on where they're traveling, on the product that is giving them the offering. What they want to actually see is, are you able to offer me what I'm looking for? But then I'm integrated with the wider community that's actually, traveling to that product and experiencing their product. What they ultimately want is they want to ensure that they share the same space with different types of segments of travelers, different faiths, but don't want to look like they're standing out and creating some kind of, where they're going to be looked upon, you have to do this, or we got to do this for you because you're Muslim. Just make it and make it understandable for us. It's, you are there. We know what your needs are. We've done the research. We've done, with all our staff understand what the needs of the traveler is. And with that, the premium traveler, the premium Muslim traveler is prepared to pay the premium price because he's getting the additional value adds and he's ensuring that he's actually part of the wider segment of travelers that he's traveling with, and he's immersed in within the travel community.
There are some great conceptual points in there, a lot to unpack. I'll come to you next, Marta. So we've heard from the perspective of lodge and wildlife and safari in South Africa. What about Spain? How does Spain look at the premium Muslim sector? And has that changed over recent years?
Yeah, so in Spain, I totally agree with Sadiq. In Spain, we have seen total evolution this last decade. So we have seen Muslims that are choosing southern Spain, not only because of the heritage, but now they are looking more for what is authentic in this region. So they are looking for luxury tours that combine history, gastronomy, and also some wellness retreats. At the same time, if you look at other kind of Muslim travelers, for example, the millennials or the Gen Z, they are sometimes looking for Instagram-worthy halal travel, but both of them combine the modern, ethical, and eco-conscious offerings. So they are, in that sense, I think that it's a special segment that we are focusing on because of they are looking for experience that reflect not only the beauty of the country, but also that they seem closer to their identity, values, and aspirations.
Also, some more great points there. Abdullah, I'll come to you. There's a slightly different context with your company, given the region that you operate in, particularly in some of the markets that you have and the travel flows that you have through Southeast Asia. But from a hospitality perspective, how do you look at the high yield Muslim traveler, and has that changed in recent years?
I think, yes, I think I echo to what Marta and Sadiq has said as well. I think the change has been seen as well, notably. I think previously it's been like a niche, not really being thought of. It was just a checklist that some hotels, some environments just to do, but I think time has changed. People become more aware. People understand the different cultural needs. And as well, I think not every Muslim traveler is the same. So I think it's important as well. The training of the individuals, the hotel staff as well has changed as well. So hotel staff have become more aware and to the needs of the different travelers as well. I think that's what I've seen as well across the hotel hospitality industry as well.
Yeah, just follow up on one of the points you said there. You said that it's moved from essentially what was a checklist kind of approach to Muslim travel. Yes. And now there's a greater recognition of the different segmentation, the different markets, all of the different experiences that are required. What kind of pushed, what made that change happen? And over what period of time have you noticed it?
I think what is seen, I think the biggest push is realizing that the Muslim travelers are traveling more and more. I think definitely, I think what Marta said as well earlier, with the help of maybe example influencers from different regions, not just typically or certain backgrounds as well. We expect of how a Muslim influencer is supposed to be. I think that's helped to build the image of how you could find experiences and travels experiences in the different regions as well. I think that's why I've seen the shift as well, and that has cascaded down into how hotel operates. For example, I used to work in Langkawi as well in Malaysia. Previously, which is a basic need of what a hotel is supposed to do to cater to a Muslim traveler. I think by default, because Malaysia it's a Muslim country, so easier. But more recently, I came back as well after 10 years. I've never been there. More sensitivity as well to protect the modesty. So private villas been built, more and more private villas been built to cater to the needs of the Muslim travelers as well, who's willing to pay a premium to come and enjoy a stay in a resort such as Langkawi as well, in Langkawi.
Yeah, Abdullah's pushed the conversation on a little bit there. We've moved sort of a little bit into the demand side. Now, we're all from the travel industry. We talk from the supply side perspective. And when we're at conferences, we hear the supply side perspective most often. Sadiq, I'll come to you next, because Abdullah there mentioned that a lot of the change has come from customer perceptions, customer demands, customer aspirations. Has that helped to change how you develop your services, how you develop your approach to the premium Muslim market?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question, Gary. So I think from our side, services and experiences are very important. And what we have done in particular is, and I'll share an interesting story. So even from a gastronomical point of view, I think we ensure that we offer, the high premium 5-star dining experience to our Muslim traveler, and they immersed within other segment of travelers, the non-Muslim traveler that's traveling and sharing the same space with them at the restaurant, at the lodge. And interestingly enough, with that experience and showcasing some of the food that was done in a halal perspective, done and curated with our chefs. And you see that even when I was at South African Tourism, we offered that experience to the guest, and then that creates and sparks a conversation with the non-Muslim traveler who then has an opportunity to engage with the Muslim traveler. And I think, getting to your point in on that question, Gary, I think that's what most of the Muslim travelers of today are looking for, is that when we travel, have us immersed with the rest of the people we're sharing the space with. We don't want to be seen as looked upon different, or we don't want to be saying, sorry, you're going to take the next bus because, you have certain requirements for that experience. For example, when we do a bungee jumping for a lady who wants to fulfill the rights of her faith-based obligations, we ensure that we cater and our guest experience is taken care of. If she needs to have a haircut, when she covers her hair and she's doing an experience, or she's doing a quad biking or some kind of experience, they are with the rest of the people who are doing the same, but they're ensuring that their needs are taken care of. So I think from a service and an experience point of view, it's not about going and, also for the rest of the product owners out there who are wanting to take care and ensure that they attract the Muslim traveler. You don't need to go out and reinvent the wheel. What you need to do is ensure that your current experiences and services actually take care of the needs of the Muslim traveler, but ensure that they are immersed with the rest of the travelers. And this creates a very good tourism experience, because ultimately, isn't that what tourism is all about? That we all share a different space, we come from different cultures and different backgrounds, and we start engaging with each other. I'm from South Africa, you from Southeast Asia. What brought you to South Africa? Why you have this? How do the Muslims do experience travel in different parts of the country, in the places that you've traveled? So I think from my perspective, I think it's, just to recap, it's ensuring that we keep the experiences very much an immersive experience, and ensure that the needs of the Muslim traveler are taken care of. But also we create an experience, and a harmonious experience, starting with gastronomy and other experiences where they can actually engage with the wider community that they're sharing the space with. So that also creates an interesting experience for the Muslim traveler, and that's what brings them back to both the destination of South Africa and to our lodges as well.
Yeah, some terrific points there, Sadiq. I like that answer. Marta, I'm going to bring the conversation to you again. Sadiq has pushed it on into a new realm. And I like the point where he was talking about integration and bringing people together. It's not just about how premium Muslim travelers want to travel. It's premium travelers and Muslim travelers being involved in that aspect. Now, Spain's history, particularly in the south, means that you have a lot of destinations, a lot of locations and attractions that have resonance with Muslim travelers, but they attract people from around the world, from all backgrounds, who go to those places. What have you learned since the pandemic about how those destinations are perceived and how they are being approached by Muslim travelers now? Has it changed?
Yes, since the pandemic, we are seeing an increase of Muslim travelers to Spain. And the thing is that the Spanish tourism sector is now starting to build some, as Sadiq said, some experiences and services for these travelers. So before, the sector was not prepared for them, and now we are seeing some developments in some, for example, like Malaga and Sevilla. We are seeing how 5-star hotels are now offering services like private villas with gender-separate pool access, or minibars free from alcohol, etc. That before they had never think about that. So now they are realizing that this is important for Muslim travelers. And another example, for example, related to the heritage, is the rise of cultural heritage tours. particularly those that are centered on the legacy of Al-Andalus. Affluent Muslim travelers are now increasingly drawn to Spain because of our Islamic unique history. And they are not just looking for textbooks explanation, but they are looking for more immersive experiences, as Sadiq said. So they are looking for guide tours of the Alhambra or access to university-led historical lectures, tailored art experiences, and even culinary journeys with traditional Andalusian dishes in a halal context. So we are also seeing some platforms for Muslim travelers that are offering concierge-style apps so that the Muslim travelers can organize their trip in advance and book even the premium experiences that they want to enjoy during their stay in Spain. So yes, we have seen a lot of improvement in the last years.
A lot of improvement, a lot of change, continues to evolve, I guess. Abdullah, I want to come back to you. This is slightly off topic, but it's something that you referred to earlier, and you referred to social media. And when we think of social media in the broader spectrum, we tend to think of social media and travel as a mass scale, as a mass usage tool, really. But when we look at segmentation and how it's used in the Muslim world, are there any do's and don'ts in terms of how you use social media to promote your hotels and your experiences that you wouldn't otherwise have done maybe before the pandemic?
I think it's important to just build on what I think the points that Sadiq and Marta shared as well. It's largely centered on education. I think how the influencer, we want to get influencer to come in, and how the influencer narrates the whole narrative. It's about educating the larger audience as well. It's just beyond, I think, the cultural backdrop is just beyond the mosque and beyond the hijab. There's more things that is interest of the Muslim traveler as well. I think that's how that kind of influences that we should find and collaborate with, for example, to teach you what is, example, restaurants that's not typically halal. Maybe I just use Singapore as a reference point. Some restaurants people may perceive is not a halal, typically not a halal restaurant, but this influencer that we've been brought in is able to go and or anybody who brings an influencer in goes and target a restaurant that's not typically halal, like Italian cuisine or a Japanese cuisine or even a Taiwanese cuisine more recently in Singapore as well has become halal. So that creates an avenue of education to the larger audience to say, hey, there's something more here to be appreciated by the Muslim audience and beyond.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sadiq, I want to bring this question to you because you have a very defined portfolio of products, lodges and experiences. What role does social media play in the promotion of what you do?
Absolutely, very critical, Gary. I think a lot of, especially around experiences, is a lot of our guests that we actually engage with or come and experience our product and the offerings we do have. They have often, when you engage with them and you chat to them, it's through some social media interaction that they've had or they've seen something via social media. And for us as a team, we often have this discussion because you've got to understand what the different needs and segments. Often social media, sometimes influencers or posts that come out, they are very generic. And when you kind of put a message out, it's about we take care or we can cater for the Muslim needs. And I think culture plays an important role. So we kind of understand that different needs of Muslim travelers and even travelers in general coming from different parts of the world, there are cultural sensitivities that you need to be aware of. Some make a decision based on food, some make a decision based on gastronomy, some may make a decision on what are you doing from a sustainability point of view, what are you giving back to community. And one of the things I've noticed, especially from the high-yield Muslim traveler that comes often to South Africa and experience our lodges, they want to give back to the community because they feel they've had this privilege of being able to come in and experience the destination that they're traveling to, and want to give back to the community. So sometimes it's about giving back to a school, in the area where we have our lodges. We have underprivileged schools, we have communities that we take care of, and we give our Muslim travelers the immersive experience of going and saying, here's an opportunity for you to give back to the community. And this is what the different cultures. So if I look at it, Often travelers from the Middle East often want to give back to the communities and often want to leave some kind of legacy. Travelers from other parts of the world sometimes want to understand, as Marta mentioned, they want to understand the history of the Muslims in the destination they're traveling to. So for us, from a social media perspective, we often brainstorm, and our messaging is not generic. Our messaging is always catered to ensure that we have different messages to ensure that it encapsulates the need of the Muslim traveler. But I think I made the point a few times, but I think it always leans back to the fact that from a lot of experience, and I've engaged with our Muslim travelers, is, show us immersive experiences where we are part of the wider community. Given the way things are and the way the media portrays the Muslims around the world, often Muslim travelers want to say that we want to be part of the wider community. And from a social media perspective, they want to share that experience. For example, they could be with Gary overlooking, sitting at our lodges and overlooking some of the wildlife, and having a conversation. And that's what they would like to share on social media. It's not just about sharing their experiences to their own communities, but sharing the experiences that I've basically been able to share with a wider community that really is not part of my cultural background, but resonates with what I'm doing and appreciates the fact that I'm also being able to enjoy the experiences that they are experiencing.
Yeah, so Sadiq, that's a really good point. Marta, I'm going to come to you because that really references the new world of social media, really. It's not just about using social media from the perspective of a destination or a hotel or a supplier. User-generated content now is so important, isn't it? It's creating those prompts that help your visitors to create their own content that appeals to their peers, to their friends, to their relatives. Is that something that you take into account when you're developing your social media strategy?
Yes, from the Spain Tourism Board perspective, we are working a lot with social media. So we have started to segment the segment, let's say, and to identify the subgroups that we have in Muslim travelers. So we are identifying the more luxury travelers, for example, the Southeast Asian honeymooners or the second generation European Muslims, as I said before, and we are identifying their different preferences, values, so what they think it's important while traveling. And according to that, we are helping the regions because Muslim heritage, in the case of Spain, is not only in the south, it's not only in Andalusia, but it's almost all the peninsula that has a Muslim heritage. So we are helping the regions to build to explain their history, to create some storytelling for the Muslim travelers. So not just promoting services, but also telling why Muslim travelers maybe feel at home when traveling to Spain.
And Abdullah, I wanted to move the conversation next to food. We've talked about food a little bit at the beginning. And as a hotel and service department brand, food and cuisine is very, very important to how you view all of your customers, not just Muslim travelers. What are you noticing in terms of the high yield travelers generally, that food perceptions, expectations, demands are changing? We live in a world where we're all foodies now. We know much more about cuisines from neighboring countries and the destinations that we want to visit. Does that really impact about how you think short term and longer term about your offerings to your customers?
I think, yes, Gary. I think it creates a very big impact as well. I think previously, I think very commonly, I think for Muslim travelers, the food has always been mass-produced, buffets. It's quite very common as well. I think times have changed. People are looking for more exclusivity, inclusive dining experience as well. So, for example, honeymooners or different millennials, Gen Zs, they're all looking for different experiences as well. So I think it's very important as well. For example, from the hotel, from the chefs to the concierges to the different departments as well, to create a level of curation is very required as well. So I think that's why I've seen as well some change as well. I think not particularly in certain brands as well I've seen as well. I think that kind of level of awareness to create that kind of experiential offerings is very key as well. So the dining experiences, spa experiences as well. I think there's some change as well in there to create a dedicated space to maintain the modesty for the Muslim travelers as well, the female travelers as well. I've seen some changes as well being adopted to cater to such needs as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sadiq, I'll bring that to you because Abdullah made a really good point there. It's not really about food anymore. It's about dining experiences, about how you understand the culture, the history, and the heritage around the ingredients that are on your plate, around the inspirations of the chef, around the ingredients that are nurtured or developed in the local communities. Tell us a little bit more about how food is changing it from your perspective in attracting premium travelers.
In South Africa, we're very blessed. We have different cultural backgrounds in terms of the food offerings. But for us, absolutely, I think the first key element that we often get asked, and if I look back, I've been in the industry for many, many years, and when we used to cater for the Muslim traveler previously, it was also always this outside catering option where, the Muslim traveler was coming in as a guest. I think everyone at the lodges and the hotels would get very nervous because it's how do we take care and where is the kitchen ready? Let's just call somebody and call someone that makes it from home and have it wrapped and brought in. I think the experience is completely different now. I think firstly and foremost, credit should go to Crescent Rating for the great work that they do in terms of educating globally. And the message that they put out that it's not difficult to be able to cater for the Muslim traveler, ensuring that the kitchens can suffice and make sure that the needs of the Muslim traveler are taken care of. What we've seen in particular in South Africa, and I think, it goes also to our cultural background. We're a very, like, of course, the rest of the world, but I think we're fortunate in the sense that we have different communities. We have, in particular, a lot of the kitchens and a lot of the hotels have basically just made themselves completely halal in the sense that they've now been able to offer the halal offering to the Muslim traveler by giving them the experience of knowing that, the kitchen is completely halal. But in cases where there isn't that experience, there are chefs that are being trained particularly to be able to give the Muslim traveler an experience. So they could be in a Michelin 5-star restaurant, but in an immersive experience with the rest of the patrons. They're given this opportunity to be able to have a 5-star experience and also engage with the chef. I think Abdullah mentioned it. I think the education and the knowledge of the staff that are providing the service, and I think that goes overall. I mean, we talk of the gastronomical experience, but I think we do that also from our side, is that, if you as the product owner or even as a tourism board, be able to educate the staff so that they know when the questions get asked, they can answer it with confidence, and they will then instill the confidence into the guest. For us, I think often what, from the gastronomical point of view and how food shapes the conversations. So at this point in time, we're creating a gastronomical tour of South Africa where you get you travel to different parts, different provinces, and each province has a unique offering. Some may have a little bit of an Indian flavor to it. Some has the Malay flavor, which is up in the Cape region. And then some is just authentic South African experience. Most people know it as a barbecue. We call it a braai here, which is just, meat over the fire. And we create this Boma experience. People sit around the fire, have a conversation, and we get the chefs to come out and engage and talk to the patrons so that they understand where the food comes from, what it took to ensure that their needs were taken care of. There was research done in terms of the type of traveler that they are, where they've come from, and the different countries that they've come from. So it also talks to their palate as well. So I think, we often say this, but food is always the best start of the conversation, but also the great opportunity to ensure that it leaves you with a lasting experience, and that's basically what we try and offer from our side.
Right. So food shapes conversations, Sadiq says. Marta, nowhere is that more true than in Spain. You have an incredible culinary traditions, but it's also a big country. You have different climates, different landscapes, also different culinary influences. How have you worked with different parts of the industry and different regions to ensure that what they're offering to premium travelers changes, is refreshed, and is culturally relevant?
So we are starting identifying the most important Muslim heritage sites in every region, and we are working on a tourism guide of all Spain. So at the beginning we start doing city by city or region by region, and now we have decided that it's time to help Muslim travelers to have all this information in a unique booklet, let's say a digital one, with all the options that they may need to know when traveling around Spain. So, for example, we are looking for the best restaurants that offer halal food in the main cities of Spain. We are also locating the Muslim communities in these cities, and the prey options that they have close to the hotels that offer also halal options. So we are identifying not only the cultural side, but also the services and the premium tours that they may appreciate for their stay in Spain.
Thanks, Marta. So, Abdullah, before we move on, I'm going to bring this back to you, because Singapore, where you're based, also a culinary destination for sure, promotes itself as such, has great traditions in different kinds of foods and influences from around the region. How are you noticing generally that the elements of food have become more important in the promotion of tourism, but also the cultural relevance of tourism?
Yeah, right, Gary. I think Singapore, we've seen, there's more flavors, there's changes of different kinds of cuisine as well. I think, for example, here, one of the places that I work as well here is next to Kampung Glam, which is the Malay Heritage Center as well, the center of Muslim culture as well. So not only has the mosque has become a center or the anchor point of drawing different people and from different cultures, from background, Muslims and non-Muslim alike, but that from that anchor point of the mosque, it creates a different conversation as well. So the different I've seen a much more interesting type of cuisines coming in. So a Japanese restaurant and different kind of cuisines is coming in, Korean restaurant, Italian restaurant as well, Chinese restaurant. So that creates a kind of conversation as well. It creates like avenues as well to bring different kind of opportunities well to that environment as well.
Yeah, interesting. Thanks for that, Abdullah. So Sadiq, let's change tack slightly. One of the hottest topics, certainly one of the hottest conference topics in travel and tourism at the moment, is personalization, is tailoring, is customization, is making all the experiences and the offerings that you have very, very relevant to individual perceptions of what they want from their trip. What have you noticed in terms of the change in the requirements for personalization in recent years? Certainly social media has helped push this, I would say. Certainly e-commerce has given us this on-demand mentality where we expect to get what we want when we want it. You operate at a pretty high level of the industry. Where does personalization fit in what you do and how your customers perceive you?
That's quite an interesting question, Gary, and one that keeps me awake and my fellow directors awake at night a lot, because often, we have to have this conversation, and we have this conversation on a weekly basis when we get together, because I think every one of us wants to feel like we are the ones that are totally, we are the ones that are traveling and nobody else around us. But we also want to be immersed with the rest of the community. So you almost want to separate that when you arrive at the destination, you are the one that is being noticed. You are the one that's being taken care of. Yet, you might be going to tourism sites where there'll be hundreds of people that are going to be seeing the same thing that you've come to see, but you want to stand out differently. I think the key thing, Gary, often is when we do our marketing strategies and we go out and we market ourselves, we often go into the communities and into places where we need to understand, rather than sitting from the countries we're sitting in, is to go and immerse ourselves into the destinations we are in. So for example, I will go to the Middle East and I will find out what are the hottest trends. What is it that they're looking for when they are at their own home experience? What is it that makes them comfortable in their own space, and try and curate that experience back home, bring it with the African culture or a different experience. So it's almost like they feel like, I've left home, I'm almost experiencing a little bit different to what I experience, what I've been seeing at home and what my needs are. Because as we know, sometimes some travelers prefer traveling in groups, some travel in individuals. And I think post-COVID, we notice people want a lot of their own space. We in South Africa are blessed. So what we do is a lot of our curated experiences about not ensuring that our guests are overwhelmed by doing too many things at the same time, and kind of overwhelmed with a lot of people around them. We give them the opportunities of having curated experiences where they sit and engage. And I think we've developed a strategy, and I'd like to share it. It's connect, collaborate, and convert, where we connect with our travelers prior to them coming. We collaborate with synergies in products and experiences that they feel that they could collaborate with us on. And ultimately, that leads to the conversion of them coming to our destination to come into South Africa or come and experience our lodges. But I think the key thing is that the personalized experience, and often when people talk of personalized experience, and yes, I think that has come standard when you get to the hotel or you get to welcome Mr. Gary, and that. But it's about saying, I believe you come from the Middle East, or I believe you come from Southeast Asia. I know that this food is quite common there. We've paired it with the South African experience type of food. We know that you like to get up a bit early in the morning. We've ensured that you'll have some kind of experience in the morning. Some travelers like to have a late afternoon, maybe a late afternoon nap. So we take care of those kind of things. We ensure that we curate our experiences, making sure that this is what their culture is back home, and bring it into an experience that they may have with us. But ensuring from a personalized point of view, I think two key things is, if we have enough time, when we do get the guest that books with us well in advance, we do understand, and our lodges and our GMs will have time to be able to understand the person themselves. However, if not, we understand the place and the country they're coming from, and understand how that culture gets immersed into the experience that we offer them. Because ultimately, you don't want to make them home away from home, but you want to ensure that what they comfortable with at home, that personalized experience comes in, and you understand their needs, you understand their culture. Sometimes, a simple thing like, for example, if you're talking of the Indian travelers that come, we talk to them about cricket, which a lot of them enjoy. Other parts of the world, they might talk football if they're coming out of Europe. So, it's that kind of personalized experience, almost understanding that where they're coming from, to ensure that you can then bring that experience into what they're going to experience in South Africa, and also kind of make them understand that, by you traveling to the destination, you are seeing a different part of your own personalized experience that might take you back with something that you possibly will that you've now got into you from South Africa, and that's where the personalized element comes from. Sometimes it's just a simple thing about understanding the culture of the people, and taking that back with you and saying, I learned this from Destination South Africa, and that's that personalized experience that they will take back with them.
Right.
I know I've spoken quite a bit around it, Gary, but it's something that this question, when you posed it now, it kind of lit up in my eyes, and I thought this is something that we often think about. How do we continue making sure that personalized experience resonates with all the different type of travelers that we get from Europe, North America, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East? And it's something, I think that's what makes us all excited about our jobs, because we're continuously evolving and looking for that different experience to offer, and personalized and curated experiences for our different travelers that come and visit us in our respective regions.
That's such a fulsome response, Sadiq. I can tell that although it's keeping you awake at night, the personalization debate, you're using those waking hours very effectively. So thanks very much for that. Maria, let me bring that to you. A lot of what Sadiq said there is really, really pushing the personalization agenda back into the source markets, but also in the destination as well. Topics of conversation topics, food, those kind of things. Where is Spain at the moment in terms of personalization of experiences? Does it keep you awake too?
Yeah, so I think personalization and cultural sensitivity are cornerstones of luxury hospitality. And I think that they take on even greater importance in the case of Muslim travelers who are faith conscious and culturally aware. So in the case of Spain, for example, when we speak about personalization, we are thinking about high-end Muslims, travelers that are looking for a service that anticipates their needs. So it's not just reactive hospitality, but it's, for instance, in southern Spain, if a resort can offer a guest, if they prefer a villa with Qibla-facing rooms, or provide them with a custom halal tasting menu. It's about going beyond the generic and offering tailored experiences and knowledge, both individual preferences and cultural nuance. So in the case of Spain, for example, we have a lot of families traveling, so from different generations, and we have to offer them some private dining options and personal cultural tours that engage both the adults and the children of this family. And I think that this reflects the importance of and the understanding of these travelers. And I think this level of detail is what makes a service feel premium. And we are working on that in the case of Spain.
So, Abdullah, I'll come to you next. I can tell from Sadiq's and Marta's answers that this issue of personalization is not just hot, but it is a very, very structural issue, strategic and very tactical. I want to bring this to you for two reasons. One, you are a hotel company with lots of different brands. So personalization and tailoring has slightly different meanings to different customers, perhaps. Yes. You're also in a region where you have very, very discerning customers who know what they don't like as well as what they do like, and are not afraid to say that. So I guess it comes back to the same point I asked Sadiq. Does personalization keep you awake at night?
Oh, definitely, Gary, because I think we must be able to know, because every customer has different needs and different wants that they want to be met. I think it's only oblivious, or it becomes a pitfall if the hotel industry, we just take it for granted. I think the AI is helping us a lot as well, to leveraging on AI as well, to do some information. I think it goes back to earlier my point as well, educating as well the team members. Like, not all Muslim travels are the same. I think that helps as well to create that kind of awareness and education to every team member as well, right down to, even to my point as well, maybe potentially down to the room attendants as well, not only just from the GM level, but all the way down to the room attendants as well, to create that kind of awareness and understanding as well, to help to elevate the whole experience for the different guests that's coming in to the environment of the hotel.
Yeah, that's really true. And it's interesting that you say, because everybody comes to a hotel with their perception of what the hotel should do for them and what they can get from the hotel. Well, it's just almost born into our mentality, particularly this on-demand culture. I mean, do you find now that personalization isn't just something that people expect or demand, but they have their own preset conceptions of what you should be doing for them?
Yeah, I agree too as well, because I think the way that the hotel package it, some of the hotels have done a very good job in terms of marketing it. It's able to cater to certain individual as well. So the guests will be traveling. For example, one experience, one of the previous hotels I used to work in my previous life, because we were not able to cater to the needs as well, because the guests has a certain preconceived idea of what the experience should be. So we have to engage a staff, an employee from that particular region, and bring into the hotel. So that individual becomes a conduit between the hotel and the guests. So it's not only just for us to pass on the experience and what we think works for the guests, but it's that person becomes a conduit for the guest experience to be transferred to us. And that creates a playbook per se for us to use it in the future. How should we be able to continue to develop the guest experience from there as well?
Yeah, that's a good point. So Sadiq, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I want to move away from our experiences and our current perceptions of what's happening in markets, and let's try and look a little bit into the future. If we were sat here having this discussion in 1 year's time, now we know that high yield tourism, we know that the way travel and tourism, travel flows, patterns worldwide are reframing and are reconfiguring. If we were having this discussion in a year's time, we would probably be discussing some of these themes, but some of them would moved on. What do you think would be the key things we would want to talk about in 12 months' time?
I think, Gary, I think what travelers are looking for in general is, for us as product owners and tourism boards and different entities within the tourism value chain or ecosystem, is rather than travelers being able to keep asking, what is it that we keep offering to them, or rather them demanding from us, we have to take the responsibility of curating and opening up the different segments and sectors of travel that will allow the consumer to start opening up their minds, widening their horizon, and understanding that there is a different type of tourism that can be experienced. For example, in Destination South Africa, one of the things from us, from a safari point of view or from a wildlife point of view, is the conservation of our wildlife. And there are a number of NGOs that are basically doing fantastic work to protect the wildlife. Now, how do we as product owners, tourism boards, take that message to different travelers so that when they consider doing a destination and wanting to do an experience, it's also about saying, sometimes it's about getting to understand how is it that the value or the ecosystem of travel and tourism stays alive. So these NGOs play a pivotal role, which often travelers and tourists don't see, because they do the work in the background, but the tourist gets that experience because the wildlife is protected. But sometimes it's about giving that message to them and saying, you can engage with these NGOs, you can see what work is being done, and sometimes choose destinations based on that. So from a gastronomical point of view, understand where the food comes from. How is it grown? How does it impact the community? What do you give back? And I think long term, if I have my own little vision board out there, I'd like us as tourists, because we ourselves consider myself first. And when I travel, even if I go and I do my sales and marketing in different countries, it's about going out there and saying, how do I leave a legacy that will make the next traveler coming into that destination benefit? Sometimes there's so much of over-tourism that, you often forget that, you think you're the only traveler for now, and you think, okay, I'm going to move on to another destination. But there are others who might have not experienced the destination you have, and let's leave something for them so that they can also have that experience. I think moving forward, I think for us, it's trying to ensure that we market destinations, market our products, but also have that fine balance on over-tourism and without impacting communities and sustainability of our planet and, of course, of the destinations we're in. Because ultimately, I think every traveler would want to continue giving back. We see it as a privilege when we do travel, but we all want to leave some kind of legacy behind. And even if it means we're contributing to a better part of tourism when the next traveler that's going to come behind us will experience, at least we know as a traveler, as a tourist, you've left some kind of positive impact on the community and on the planet.
Yeah, thanks, Sadiq. Marta, if we were having this conversation in 1 year's time, what would be some of the key things that you'd want to be talking about?
So I think it's linked to what Sadiq was just saying, and it's the fact that Muslim travelers bring values-based approach to travel, and I think that this is something that in the future will be even more important. And I think that many Muslims prefer destinations that prioritize ethics, as Sadiq was just saying. This is something that aligns with one of the main goals that, for example, in the tourism industry is nowadays very important. That is the responsible tourism. That is something that will guarantee the long term and the viability of the sector, especially in the case of Spain. And I think that there is also a kind of soft power dimension on all of this that we are discussing. I think that by welcoming and respecting the high-end Muslim travelers, destinations like Spain strengthen intercultural understanding and showcase their commitment to these inclusive values that the Muslim travelers bring to our country. So I think that this is not only to enhance the visitor experience, but also to contribute to a positive global brand positioning that is very important in the case of the tourism boards.
Yeah, that's a good answer too, Marta. Thanks very much for that. Abdullah, I want to bring this question to Asia Pacific, where you operate mostly, because of course this region was hit the hardest by COVID. We had the longest lockdowns, we had the slowest recovery, but generally across the region in the last 18 months in particular, we've seen strong and resilient travel patterns, some challenges of course. But going forward, the next phase will be really, really instructive about how destinations, about travel brands and consumers themselves perceive travel for the longer term. So bringing that, constellating that together, in 12 months' time, what do you think you'll be thinking about mostly in this region?
Well, Gary, I think what we definitely need, particularly this region as well, I think I'll center on the conversation on the amenities I think we spoke earlier as well about education and the awareness, the team members from the hotel. Even if I may say so as well, the tourism board as well could create a kind of awareness and education to the hotel environment. But I think I would say amenities. I think the amenities that we have to cater for the Muslim travelers has to be hopefully improved in the years to come, to cater to the needs of the Muslim traveler as well. Some basic amenities, sometimes it can be seen that it's not there as well, and so Muslim travel find hard as well to find certain amenities. So sometimes the education is just say, oh, okay, as long as we provide halal food is good enough, but the thing has to go beyond it as well. So maybe there's create a bigger awareness as well, especially in this region as well, to improve the amenities to cater to the Muslim travelers as well. Because the benefit is not just for the Muslim traveler as well. The benefit goes beyond that as well. So perhaps in the years to come as well, or in the next 12 months, the improvements of the amenities provided as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the amenities that customers want and expect continue to change, I guess. So in a year's time, I mean, for example, what role will technology play?
Yeah, I think because we are leveraging a lot of AI and perhaps maybe look at CAPEX model as well. Do we put into consideration certain needs of certain travelers as well? So I think that's where I think we should put in emphasis as well, leveraging on AI, do more data insights and research. Perhaps this particular thing that we are doing for certain renovations, the spatial planning of the hotel, we should cater to what is the travelers of the future is going to look like. So perhaps that we can amalgamate all these things together, and then that's how we craft and change the way we do our renovations, perhaps the way that we do integrate certain back of the house or the front of the house operations with certain AI models or certain CAPEX development. I think there's an opportunity for us to really explore that as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Very briefly, Sadiq, because we only have a couple of minutes left, what does AI play in terms of how you're approaching the future of tourism?
I think absolutely AI is going to drive a lot of decision making, but I think as we know, AI will be able to give information as what we provide in terms of what people are researching, what people are looking for. So ultimately, I think if we create the product and the experiences, sometimes I think it's good to use AI as a tool, but not ultimately to make the decision based on that, because you will also want to ensure from a tourism perspective that you do not forget the personalized experiences. And I think as people search and look for different things, AI will help us to understand what they're looking for. But I think the true thing for all of us in this industry is to remain true to our own authenticity. For each one of us in the unique different parts of the world that have the different products, let's ensure that we keep the authenticity, so that ultimately is what the traveler appreciates when they do go out there. But AI will ultimately help us in curating and crafting the needs of the traveler moving forward, and also understanding how travel is evolving.
Yeah, two key points there, Marta. AI and authenticity. What role is AI playing in how you approach the future?
I think that AI will help us to better promote our destination, but we cannot rely only on that. I think that we will always need the human part of it, as it will help us to have the emotional connection with the travelers. And I think that technology can never replace the human and the heart that the travel industry puts into this business.
Interesting. So just one word answer before we go. We've got less than a minute. When we look at the high yield tourism market going forward in terms of Muslim travel for the next year, Sadiq, do you see more opportunities, more challenges, or do you say it's 50-50?
Absolutely. I think there are more opportunities. Curate the experiences and don't look at the Muslim traveler only giving you, I think high yield meaning give them the authentic experience and the more immersive experience, and the rest of it will follow. But I think there's huge opportunity, and I think this was a great topic that we've unpacked. I've taken some notes from my fellow panelists. Gary, thank you so much for the moderation as well. But I think it definitely there's huge opportunity for us moving forward.
Thanks, Sadiq. Abdullah, more opportunities, more challenges, or are you going to be kept awake by both the opportunities and the challenges?
Yes, again, definitely a bit of both. Definitely, I think opportunities and the challenges is facing us as well. But I think more so the opportunity for us to really delve and capitalize on the opportunities given to us. I think if I could say add on as well to the point earlier as well, I think the opportunity for us to even improve and expand our supply chain demand as well. I think having the premium high yield Muslim travel as well creates an opportunity to enhance our supply chain demand as well, create a larger ecosystem as well for the restaurants and hotel environment at large. So I think there's an opportunity for us there as well to improve.
Terrific. And Marta, what would you say? More opportunities, more challenges, or are you going to sit on the fence and say both?
I think that building capacity to serve premium Muslim travelers is a future-proof model for inclusivity, ethical, and economically robust tourism. So definitely it's an opportunity.
Terrific. So Sadiq, Abdullah, Marta, thank you so much. And thanks everybody who watched our panel here, Unlocking High Yield Opportunities, the Muslim Traveler as a Premium Market Segment. I think, honestly, we can have this discussion in a year's time. I think it will be slightly different. I look forward to that. I hope we can all join next year. So thanks again for joining our panel session at the Halal in Travel Global Summit 2025. Please check out all the other interesting sessions that we have also at crescentrating.com. And if you have any questions, please send us to them via the website or via email, and one of us will get back to you soon. I'm Gary Bowerman. Thank you so much to my panelists for such a fascinating chat, and look forward to seeing you soon.